What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock, what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and break down why tomorrow is going to be an absolutely massive day for NIO. Now, before I break anything down, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is, any of these 12 free stocks could be a free NIO share, a free Tesla share, or a mix of all of them. It's a limited time offer that ends in just 13 days. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Looking at NIO, this thing had a pretty flat day for the day. However, we were actually kind of green in the after hours immediately after the close, and NIO is pushing up a bit as the whole market got a big catalyst that just came out. So one thing that's worth noting, guys, is NIO is showing a little bit of weakness in a way relative to the overall market, but at the same time, if the market holds up well, if the market continues to push up, NIO is going to push up with the market. That's really how I can really explain it in the most simple way. So yesterday I predicted that NIO would break above $13, but I thought we would actually hold that for the majority of the day, maybe come down to the high 12s. Instead, what happened is we did get the breakout above 13, but we did not hold that as the market started to come down a bit, cooling off the RSIs temporarily. And NIO actually held this level pretty well, in my opinion. So it's good that NIO held up. If you look at SPY, we had a very interesting day, huge gap up followed by a bit of a drop. And after we got the drop, we got a slight bounce off that. So I'm hoping that we hold this range. And overall, we are respecting this rising wedge as of right now. So I'm hoping that we actually hold up pretty well, which I think we will, especially considering the fact that we have lots of earnings coming out. So let's make this clear, guys. When you look at the markets, all right, let me get to this part right here. The price comparison between NIO and SPY is very imminent. As you can see, the SPY, the QQQs, the NASDAQ, they're all correlated and they actually influence the way NIO moves. You guys can see this very big correlation. The price price ratio is dropping, showing that NIO is showing some weakness, but if the market holds up and pushes up, NIO has the potential to push up with it. So NIO is dependent on the market right now. All right, I want to make that as clear as possible. So because NIO is dependent on the market, and NIO historically tends to be green on Wednesdays anyways, what is going to influence NIO? The answer is earnings will play a big role. So we have lots of big earnings coming out. For tomorrow, we have, Ally Bank, but the big dog is coming tomorrow, and that's Tesla. They have their earnings after the close. This is going to be huge for NIO because Tesla's share price and the price action tends to influence the entire EV sector, including NIO. And on top of that, it's going to have a big effect on the overall market. If, for instance, let me just show you guys a real world example. So the market closed, right? Netflix just announced their earnings and they crushed expectations with 2.41 million new subscribers. When you go down right here, the earnings per share was a beat. They did better than expected. They beat on revenue too. So they beat on everything. That's really significant. This is good because you guys can see how the market responded to this. And the after hours, the SPY is up almost 0.6%. AMC is up. The VIX is going down a bit, which is inversely correlated with the markets. The NASDAQ is up almost 1% in the after hours. Tesla's up almost 2%. And NIO is up over 1% as well. So you guys can see how the market responded to seeing Netflix moving this way. That did play a role. That's obviously not everything. Another good thing is some banks are reporting some pretty decent earnings. Goldman Sachs actually beat on revenue and EPS, so it's a good sign. That isn't to say that the future is just going to be perfect, because in the future, guys, an earnings recession will come, especially maybe going into Q4, maybe early next year as well. But for the short term, if we keep seeing decent earnings like this could actually be pretty decent for the markets. So tomorrow is a big day because Tesla has earnings coming out. Their normalized EPS is $1.08. Their revenue is going to be at 22 billion, and that's what the estimations are. So we're hoping that Tesla meets these expectations. If Tesla misses by some margin, Tesla's going to come down most likely. That's going to actually cause NIO to come down and lots of other EV stocks like XPeng and Li Auto. But if Tesla does well, they meet expectations and they hold up pretty well, that could also help NIO hold up and push up as well too. So looking at NIO overall, the volume was almost at 58 million for the day. So NIO is showing some decent volume. The beginning was kind of skewed because we got a big push up in the beginning, but because we actually, came down already, cooled off our RSI, it's very likely we get a nice bounce for tomorrow. Going down right here, you guys can see the short volume percentage is starting to come down just a little bit. It's now at 47%, which means that those going long, the bulls have the edge in this stock. If you look at max pain on NIO, it's at $14 for the week. This means it's more profitable for the market makers to actually push NIO and the market up to make more money on these options. And that's essentially what I believe that they are going to do. So I believe this is a sign that it's possible, and maybe more likely than not, that NIO closes the week around the 14s. So I'm hoping this thing can make some nice price action. It doesn't have to be exactly at 14, it tends to be like close to that, maybe like 13.5, 13.6. Very possible for NIO to make some good moves. I'm hoping we get a nice bullish continuation of the move that we are seeing. On SPY, you guys can see this trend. We push up, we come down a bit, trade sideways. We recently pushed up, we came down a bit, we started to trade sideways, hoping for another push up again and maybe a move to about 378 either like today or tomorrow. I'm really hoping we see that because that would be very good for NIO. The same thing is with the Nasdaq. If the Nasdaq and the QQQs also like push up like that, you guys can see they're respecting an uptrend. If they both do that, it's going to be great for NIO. So NIO has one major resistance level I want to talk about. That would be, let me actually pull this up, that 13.2 zone right here. This is a major resistance level. If NIO breaks this zone, it's not like perfectly at 13.2, it's like 13.18 or 13.21. We basically got a double like rejection here. If NIO breaks this over the next 2 days, there's a chance this thing is going to go flying all the way up to about $14 in my opinion. Now we do have some resistance at about like 13.5, closer to like 13.4, 13.5. That's not as strong as this because these rejections are brutal for NIO. So I'm hoping that tomorrow, all right, into open, NIO gets another retest of about 13.21. And I'm hoping that NIO finally gets the break. If it's not tomorrow, it should be the day after if we continue to rally up. It also depends on Tesla's earnings, which is pretty huge tomorrow. If Tesla does well, and Tesla starts to push up very hard. Well, what tends to happen is there before earnings start, because Tesla's earnings are like during the after hours, Tesla tends to push up, and I do believe this is going to help NIO push up. If NIO does push up, I want to see this thing break 13.2. Get a break above that, then 13.4 could end up getting tested. So right about there. So that's what I'm hoping for tomorrow. Now, where NIO goes after this is dependent on Tesla and the overall market. But I wouldn't be surprised if NIO makes a move like this again, where we slowly start to push up, we come down, and we actually touch 13.2. Now, if Tesla continues to rally, if NIO gets good volume, there's a chance NIO could actually break past this and start testing the mid $13 level. But if we don't have enough momentum, it's possible for NIO to get stopped maybe like around the high 12s, if not 13 flat. So that's essentially what I'm predicting for tomorrow. I want to see this thing continue to push up because overall, the market has been pushing up quite decently, but NIO is kind of like lagging behind just a bit because we're still around the 12s. Our low for the year was very close to the mid $11 range. We're still pretty close to that. So I want to see NIO push up. I want to see more volume. And I am more optimistic. I'm hoping we can actually see NIO do this. With that all said, guys, thank you all so much for listening. Have a great rest of the day. And I'll see you guys in the next one. NIO to the moon because the long-term future is still incredibly bright. No matter what anyone tries to say, I'm still very bullish for the long term. And peace out.